Well, hello, nerds. Welcome to a music reaction. We haven't done a music reaction for some time. What with my life turning into chaos. That being said, we are doing Necrogoblikon. What is the name of this song even? Secret Elephant, and it's featuring Real Big Fish, which was a very big draw for me. I love Necrogoblikon. Let's just get that out of the way real quick. But also, I super love Real Big Fish. I have had an affinity for that band for probably 30 years, maybe longer. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for it. We don't have an intro sequence to roll to, so we're just going to keep talking about the things. All right, so that being said, this is going to be a little bit different than a music reaction than any of the music reactions we've done in the past, because I have no proper instrument. Yes, I do have the little guy behind me, but the little guy behind me, I have no way of miking this. So that makes things change a little bit. I am no longer in Colorado, though all of my gear, well, most of my gear anyway, is still in Colorado. So until I can remove that from there, we're just going to have to go a little bit less in tree. I'm working on trying to get a digital piano situation. I couldn't get it to run through OBS for whatever reason, just because I need to get to the content, and I kind of ran out of time for the deadline I gave myself. Either way, we're going to be reacting. That being said, who the hell am I, and why should you give a crap about what I have to say about any music at all? Well, I am a producer. I am a musician. I am a performer. I make music videos. I record albums. I record other artists, not just myself. I do all of the things, and I get paid to do them usually. And I've been doing it for some time. I've been performing music to some degree since I was a small child, so roughly 40 years. I have been recording music since I was in high school, so that's roughly 30 years ago. Yeah, going to be 20 something, almost 30 years ago. That means I'm really old. I have been making videos and music videos and video content for about 12 to 15 years at this point, and just generally well versed in the things and the stuff that are involved in making all of this. So, that being said, let's talk about my history with the band. Well, we kind of have covered that a little bit, but also the history of the band, because I think this is like the third or fourth Necrogoblikon reaction I've done, and I don't think we've gotten into the proper history of the band. And actually, the history of the band has changed a bit in recent years, so we'll talk about that ever so briefly. So let's read the brief history from from the Wikipedia, Necrogoblikon Wikipedia. The little blurb at the top of the Wikipedia says, Necrogoblikon is an American melodic death metal band. I don't know that I would say death metal, but sure. Based in LA. The group was formed in 2006 by Nick Colone and Tim Liakalsketsky. Oh, I definitely didn't say that right. I'm sorry. Lead guitarist Alex Alareza remains the member with the longest active tenure. Necrogoblikon has released 5 full-length albums: Goblin Island, Stench, Heavy Meta, which Meta is actually using that term in their marketing these days. So I feel like Necrogoblikon could like sue one of the biggest companies in existence and make a decent chunk of cash for themselves. If you're listening, guys at Necrogoblikon, it's something to think about. I mean, if the group Arrested Development can win a sum of cash because the show Arrested Development used the term Arrested Development, which was a term before the hip hop group existed, I feel like Necrogoblikon can probably do something along those same lines with Meta. Just saying. Anyway, after Heavy Meta was Welcome to Bonkers, which is a fantastic album. Heavy Meta is actually the first record of theirs that I heard, and then I kind of had to go backwards and then forwards. And then the Fundamental Slimes and Humors, one EP called Power, and the band's music, excuse me, centers on a goblin theme with a goblin mascot named John Goblikon, who also runs the podcast Right Now with John Goblikon. I love, if you haven't watched or listened to the podcast Right Now with John Goblikon, you simply must, because it's hilarious. So changes. John Goblikon and No One Survives music video. Is that where the changes happen? No. Nope. It was here. Necrogoblikon released their 5th album, Welcome to Bonkers, on April 13th, 2018. Necrogoblikon released their cover of System of a Down, Chop Suey, on July 3rd, 2020. It's great. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. On July 7th, this, I think, is where things start to get interesting in the more recent history. On July 7th, 2021, Nikki and Alex appeared on the Van Flip podcast, and revealed the title of their 6th album, The Fundamental Slimes and Humors. On November 12th, Necrogoblikon released the first single and music video for the new album entitled Right Now. On January 5th, 2022, Necrogoblikon released a 2nd single and music video titled This Is It, from the upcoming album, The Fundamental Slimes and Humors, once again directed by Brandon Dermer, who's directed a number of their videos. On April 1st, 2022, Necrogoblikon released their 6th studio album, Fundamental Slimes and Humors. On May 18th, Necrogoblikon released their 3rd single and music video titled Bones, from their recently released an album, Where the hell? There it is. Departure of Cologne. December 15th of 2023. I just didn't read far enough yet. It was announced that vocalist Nikki Calone would be leaving the band on amicable terms to, quote, pursue a new life path, and that John Goblikon and Dickie Allen, who also sings for Infant Annihilator, would take his place as lead vocalists. Prior to his announcement, Allen had been touring with the band as a fill-in lead vocalist in Calone's absence throughout their 2023 tour dates. Grady Welch was brought on to perform John Goblikon's clean singing parts. So Grady Welch is the guy inside of the John Goblikon outfit. So I didn't know that previously. Now you do. We can move on. I think that's about all we're going to cover with the history of the band. Actually, let's talk real quick about Real Big Fish, just because they're here too, right? I know people are going to be so mad because I just get to the music video, bro. We're educating people here, damn it. All right, so Real Big Fish, an American ska punk band from Huntington Beach, California. The band gained mainstream recognition in the mid to late 90s during the 3rd wave of ska with the release of the gold certified album Turn the Radio Off, which featured the single Sell Out. Soon after, the band lost mainstream recognition but gained an underground cult following, operating as an independent band since 2006. Frontman Aaron Barrett has been the only consistent member of the band since its founding throughout its numerous lineup changes. Interesting. I did not know that. Apparently, I have not been keeping that close attention on the lineup changes. Real Big Fish. Really interesting because it mentions their cult following. Like, they just did a song with Ice Nine Kills like a year and a half ago. So that's also really cool that they're getting this recognition from this new generation of bands. Like, that's just a lot of dang fun. Anyway, that is history of the bands. My history with them, I think we already kind of covered that, so we're not going to necessarily touch on that anymore. Let's talk about our expectations for this music video / song. Oh man, where to start with expectations for this? Like, is it going to be a ska-infused Necrogoblikon song? Like, are we going to get a little bit of that kind of goblin metal, which is borderline like circus music at points? Are we going to get a little bit of that with like a heavy brass section influence? Because that would be awesome. I would totally be here for that. But then that creates an issue of like, how do you perform that stuff live, right? Do you have a track that does the brass section for you? Do you take Real Big Fish on tour with you? Like, who knows? I mean, I that would be cool. I don't know that I necessarily expect that. I probably more expect like a more traditional setup for a musical feature, in that we'll maybe get a little bit of Barrett's vocals in like a chorus, or maybe he'll have a section of one of the verses. Maybe there will be some brass, but I doubt it's going to be as heavy as I want it to be. Like, to just do a straight ska metal song, like something like a heavy Voodoo Glow Skulls, like that would be so badass, but not likely. I expect the video to be hilarious. Like, I'm looking at the first frame of the video, and it looks like they have changed John's makeup a little bit, so he looks much more like every time they get a little bit more money and they rework the mask for I don't even remember the guy's name I just read for John, the guy who was playing John. Like, it just looks a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, a little more cinematic, a little more like something you'd see in a horror movie. And now they're to the point where it's like, I feel like this is like the darkness from Legend. Like, that's the kind of level that they're working with right now with the makeup on John. This is pretty awesome. I keep just talking about it and I'm not showing it to you. So let's just, I mean, look at that. How awesome is that? That looks so cool. So I expect the music video to be funny. I expect, because the dudes in Real Big Fish always have a really great sense of humor as well. So, like, they did the whole thing with the Ice Nine Kills when they did their American Psycho homage song, which I'm drawing a blank on the name. That was funny. Like, Ice Nine Kills doesn't necessarily have the best sense of humor. Like, I feel like their vocalist guy, I can't think of his name right now either because I suck with names. But I feel like he takes himself a little too seriously when he's doing stuff like that. But also, there is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek nature to it. So maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. But I think that this is much more well-suited for the two senses of humor between these two bands. All right. That's enough talking. Let's finally, I know there's been the 10,000 people who have clicked off of this by now because they just play the music video. Yeah, we're going to stop, by the way. We're going to stop a number of times, kind of talk about the music, why things might work. If there's a production note in here that I would have done differently, I'll explain that. That's if you're looking to just, oh, wow, while the video is playing, you've come to the wrong channel for a reaction video. But let's do this. Oh, wow. Okay. First up, what are we, 4 seconds in? This is really interesting. So if you look, watch John's face. Also, his fingers look like he can use them a bit more. Like, if you watch the podcast, he has the fingers that he uses on the more daily are a little bit cheaper so that he, if he breaks them or loses them or whatever, it's probably not the end of the world. They can replace them. They probably have a bunch of replacements just in case. But these that they use for the music videos, the gloves, or what maybe they are just cosmetic fingers, look a little bit more convincing. But watch his face. He smiles. That smile in the previous iteration of the John makeup would not have come across as well. Like, it's super subtle here because it's still a whole lot of prosthetics on that face. So, like, it doesn't work. But the really, really interesting thing with this is before they had all of these prosthetics, when it was just a nose and they had stuff on the cheeks and a chin, stuff on the cheeks and the nose, like, at that point in the John Goblikon makeup, the smile would have come across a lot better. So it's really interesting. Like, overall, this looks better, but the really old version was much more emotive. So I don't know, just a random theater note, right? Yep, there's that goblin metal that, like I said, it's kind of circusy. Just really upbeat kind of stuff. But also, we got the brass. There's Dickie. So also super interesting because Dickie's version of vocals for this band has primarily been that goblin-y, I can't do it because my voice is still hoarse, but has been primarily that nasal kind of goblin voice, right? When I'm sure many people, not just me, but when I first heard the band and I saw the imagery, I didn't see a music video. I heard the music and then I looked up pictures of the band. I was like, oh, that's really cool. When that first happened, I thought that John was doing that vocal and then all of the other vocals were Nikki. Apparently that was not the case. It was all Nikki at the time, and John was just the hype man. Speaking of 90s ska, I'm looking at you, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Yeah, so that was my assumption when I first saw the band, didn't see them perform. And now it seems that Dickie, although he is a very versatile vocalist, he's maybe not the best in the game, but he's pretty dang good, man. Primarily, not exclusively, but primarily does just the Goblin voice for this stuff. And they have the guitarists. I think the keyboard player jumped in on vocals at one point. Yeah, the keyboard player has jumped in, but not on the harsh vocals. They have the guitar players do like the more guttural sounding harsh vocals because Dickie's Goblin vocals are pretty rapid fire and constant by and large. So it's really cool to see that translate into the music video as well. Also, love the fact that there is actually a brass section for this. Yes, I know it is featuring Real Big Fish, so I should have expected that, and I wanted that, so it's awesome to see it. Like, look at his makeup. Look at that. That is so awesome. I love that these guys are getting the success to make this production like full blown production. It's so awesome. No real notes so far. I need to turn the volume up in my headphones a little bit because that's a little quiet, which might make it a little bit louder in the video, so I apologize. But like, so far, everything, like I probably would have mixed this very, very similarly. So I got no notes, man. Oop, I'm in the wrong window. I don't know how we got here, but he won't stop staring at me. Oh, I love it. Oh, well, hello, Dickie. There we go. Like, again, I know I said primarily, not exclusively, so again, it shouldn't surprise me when he does it, but it's really cool when he does it. It's really cool when he gets out of the Goblin voice and starts to do something a little bit more guttural. If you want to talk technique as far as his vocal goes, he is primarily a... If you want to talk technique, and we're talking about Dickie, it sounds like, I know I'm not inside of his vocal cords. I can't see the folds or anything like that, but it sounds like he is very much a false chord screamer. He does seem to get into vocal fry a bit as well. But having seen them live, I'm pretty sure like 90% of his vocals, even the Goblin voice, because if it's high, it's fry, is not an adequate descriptor of the technique used to do fry vocals when it comes to heavy music. You can do a high false chord. You can do a arytenoid compression that gets pretty high too. So like that's not an accurate statement. So I'm pretty sure most of his vocals are false chord, which is why when he does get into those gutturals, like they sound like they have a lot more resonance. Generally speaking, false chord guttural style is a little bit more resonant sounding. It's got a lot more of those lower overtones. So it's really cool to see him utilize that well. And I'm just gonna keep gushing, I think. Hey, there they are. Oh, dope. He's wearing an Of Sulfur shirt. That's awesome. All right, continuing on. Oh, man. So something that I really appreciate about their production, and something that I don't think that they've had all along, but they have had for the last 2 records at least, is a really good mix so that you get a decent amount of flavor from all of the instruments. You get a pretty good bottom end response. You can hear the bass, even though, like, generally speaking, music played at this speed, it's very hard to have the bass set aside. Like, just sonically, it's a very difficult task. It is totally possible. It's just a lot of producers kind of are focused on the guitars more than they are on the bass, and me being a bass player at heart, like, that's the first instrument I picked up, so like that's the one that I like to try and build a sound around. They do that here, so we're going to go back a little bit and I'm going to show you what I mean, because as we're coming out of this bridge where it's primarily vocal and then the instrumental kicks back in, you can really hear what I'm talking about. Right there, that when you hear drums, you hear guitar, and you hear bass. The bass, it sounds like the bass is even playing, like maybe the guitars are playing the 3rd and the 5th, or the 3rd and the 7th, rather, would make a lot more sense. And the bass is playing the root. But either way, like, just sonically, just looking on the EQ for everything, they have everything slotted so that you can hear it just fine. Like, that is so awesome. That is somebody who's really paying attention and really cares about getting a good rounded sound out of this band, and they fully deserve it, because it is absolutely a band that can do all of the things and keep it interesting all the way around. And making it even harder as a band, as performers, and as a producer, they have more than just this traditional guitars, drum, and bass as far as instrumentation goes. They also have the keyboard. The keyboard, I mean, it's not a full extra level of difficulty. It's just kind of a bonus difficulty, in that the keyboard doesn't usually sit in the same performance area of the stringed instruments. Also, sonically doesn't really sit in the same levels. Like, as far as EQs go, it usually sits a little bit closer to vocal range. But that does add a difficulty to mixing vocals properly, because guitar brushes up against that vocal range as well. So when your keys are sitting on that vocal range, but also keys go really low, so they interrupt with the bass. So it is definitely something to think about when you're layering instruments in a production setting. I think they do this so well. I'm super impressed with this right now. It's just you and I, not gonna lie. We got a guest and he wants us to die. Every time that you're feeling fine, he enters your mind. You may think Hey, there's the elephant. So the thing that I'm struggling with in my personal mixes right now that I think they're doing well, but I still think there's a better way to do it even than what they're doing. They're doing it far better than I, but it's because I'm coming at it from a different area. Let me explain. So drums are the bane of my existence. I have never had fun miking drums. I have never had fun mixing drum mics. I have fun mixing the drums. Once I finally dial them in, I will mix them into the mix, and then I'll have to reevaluate everything just because that's the way it goes when you have this sub mix that is all of the drums. And anyway, so I come at it from a point of I try and keep the drums. Like I just said, I kind of mix them in as their own thing first, and then I add them to the main mix of all of the other instruments, right? So I come at it with a very loud drum sound, and then I have to like scale things back in the main mix. And so I come at it from a kind of a top-down view. It sounds like their production style, whoever produced this, I don't think I looked at that, but whoever produced this is coming at it from a different perspective because they're there, you can hear them in the mix, but it sounds like it's a bottom up style. It sounds like very likely he mixed a sub mix of just drums and then brought that submix volume down, or submix gain or whatever down as he was introducing it into the main mix, and then brought it up until you could hear it. And I keep wanting to do that, but my last two projects, like I just loved the drums so much, I definitely didn't do that. So anyway, yeah, I'm super duper loving the mix on this. This is so good. Oh. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I needed that, but it was funny. All right. Oh. All right. So that puts us into our final thought. Yeah, it's Necro. Like, I was going to love this regardless because it's Necrogoblikon. But also, I was going to love it extra because it's Real Big Fish. And I definitely love this extra. Not entirely because it's Real Big Fish, but I feel like the dudes in Necro are kind of like they know their sound. They know what the goblin metal sound is. And they know, like, it's got this kind of circusy element to it. It's got this kind of heavy element to it. And then it's got a lot of fun, goofy things to it. But they're like taking all of those and just slowly, not anything drastic from record to record. They're not AFI. They're not sounding like a completely different band every time they write a record. It's Necrogoblikon, but like they're taking those and they're like taking like the vocals. We're going to take the vocals in a different way because we have a new vocalist who's got different talents. Now we have two vocalists, and then our melodic vocalist is a completely different. Well, not completely, but is a different voice and has different talents, can do things differently. So we can kind of expand these things, and then we're going to make the mix just a little bit better so that you can hear what everybody's doing because we're all very talented musicians. So we're going to try and make that a little bit better. And I really feel like they're starting to hit their stride. I love Heavy Meta. I think that is a fantastic record. I think Welcome to Bonkers is a better record. I think that I'm going to brain fart the one after that. I think I still have the wiki open. Goodness, what was it? Oh, I'm on the Real Big Fish's wiki. Whoops. There it is. Fundamental Slimes. There we go. I think Fundamental Slimes is a better record. I haven't listened to anything but this so far off of the newest record. Oh no, this is the newest record. Right? Yeah, Fundamental Slimes. So this is an even better record. Sorry, I was misremembering the order of things. And their early stuff is good, but this is so much better. It's all fun. If you dug this, then you're really gonna dig their back catalog because it's not dramatically different. This is just a refined version, a concentrated version of all of the things, and it's worth your time. I had a lot of fun with this. What do you nerds think? Did you have a lot of fun with this too? I think this is. I also think it's pretty freaking awesome that Real Big Fish is getting like almost a second wind with all of these spots and stuff. Like they're getting recognition from other musicians who probably, like me, grew up listening to Real Big Fish's music. So that's also pretty freaking awesome. So, what did you think? What did I miss? What commentary do you not agree with? Like, let's have all of those conversations down in the comments section, nerds, because that's what we're here for. We're here to defend and analyze the things that we call art and the things that we enjoy. And I'm not here to poo-poo anything that I dislike. I will tell you that I dislike it, and I will tell you why I dislike it. You tell me the same thing. Did you dislike this Necrogoblikon track? Because I freaking loved it. Let's, again, have those conversations down in the comment sections. I appreciate you, nerds. We have not done a sponsor spot or anything since coming back. Probably won't do a sponsor spot for a little while, just while I'm trying to get back on my feet. That being said, I appreciate you guys for coming around and checking out the channel, returning now that you see that I have content. And for all of the new folk, thank you very much for coming around and checking it out. If you disagree with me, let's have those conversations. Anyway, I'm talking in circles, so we will cap it off there. Thank you very much, nerds. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it is generally nerdy, it is probably here.